After what proved to be a fairly divisive cinematic trailer, BioWare has released a 20-minute gameplay trailer that, honestly, looks pretty good. The trailer starts with Varric leading us through the magic punk city of Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter. Here we get our first glimpse at the stylized look of the game with a breathtaking glimpse at the foreboding city, as well as a look at Rook, our custom player character, the one shown here being, of course, a rogue, one of the 3 traditional Dragon Age classes, along with warrior and mage. Something to note, it appears we'll be able to choose our character's backstory and what faction they belong to. The Rook shown here is a Shadow Dragon, a band of do-gooders hailing from Tevinter. It'll be interesting to see what kind of impact backgrounds have on the game's narrative and how NPCs respond to you. And we get our first look at a Pride Demon, which was our first boss battle in Inquisition. Here, they look a bit different than they did in that previous game, lacking, legs. The dialogue wheel should be familiar to those of us who played Inquisition or Dragon Age 2. And here, fan favorite Scout Harding mentions Rook's connection to the Shadow Dragons, so we can see that background choice will at least have some bearing on our playthrough. And finally, our first look at combat. As we can see, our rogue dual wields a sword and dagger, and can switch to a bow for ranged combat. Using both melee weapons and bows wasn't something rogues could do in Inquisition, so it's good to see that here. Also, it appears that arrows work on a cooldown, so you can't really spam them. It'll be interesting to see if these skill trees include ways to upgrade the maximum number of arrows or shorten the length of cooldowns for players that want a more archery-focused build. And we can see these arrow alerts that signal an incoming ranged attack, similar to what we saw in Insomniac's Spider-Man games. And our rogue can parry attacks with their blades, sending projectiles back at the attacker. We can dodge these attacks as well, like we could do with the evade skill in Inquisition. And here's our first look at the ability wheel. Fans of the Mass Effect series should feel right at home here. Our abilities appear at the bottom, while our companions' abilities would appear at the sides. One thing to note is that it looks like we're limited to a loadout of 3 abilities per character. Although, it does appear that a lot of rogue abilities like evade and parry have simply been rolled into the base combat system. But I'm curious to see how mages will work. I know the action-based combat may be off-putting for fans of Origins, but at least, from what I'm seeing here, the combat in Veilguard is fluid and snappy. But we'll only know for sure when we actually get to play it. And another interesting thing, rogues can apparently use magic in this game. Also, we see the shown ability, Static Strike, applies the weaken condition. It's good to see these conditions return. And hopefully, we'll be able to use them for some powerful combos with our companion's help. And here we meet our first new companion, Nev, an ice mage, who I believe will be romanceable. And Varric gives us another mention of the Shadow Dragons, again, driving home that backstories will at the very least be brought up during play. And we see another dialogue option. It's worth noting that we don't see a ton of dialogue options in the gameplay trailer, and Rook does say quite a bit without player input, but my hope is that this unprompted dialogue is at least influenced by how we roleplay our character via the dialogue wheel, similar to how it worked in Dragon Age 2. However, I do hope we can choose every line of dialogue for our character when we speak to our companions during downtime at the hub. And we get our first boss fight with a Pride Demon, just like in Inquisition. Now, we haven't seen how we'll command our allies in battle, but I'd like to know if we can position them as well as have them use particular abilities, similar to how it worked in Mass Effect. It looks like the yellow health bar is the demon's guard. In Inquisition, you have to deplete that bar to deal damage to the enemy's health, or to stagger or knock down the enemy. I'd also like to know how effective companion AI is. It wasn't great in Inquisition, which is why I always optimize builds that work for solo play and just bring a full party for the banter. We also see a yellow halo effect above Rook, which warns us of incoming melee attacks, allowing us to time our dodges to avoid them. Here we get a glimpse of the approval system, which will allow us to strengthen or weaken our bonds with our companions based on what we do and say. And a faithful reunion between Varric and Solus. I'm not gonna lie, hearing Varric call Solus Chuckles makes me want to play Inquisition all over again. Oof, R.I.P. Bianca. And here we see a flashpoint decision. I like to see more of these throughout the game, with your choices having some impact on the narrative. And the trailer ends on a cliffhanger, with Solus flanked by two beings from beyond the veil, and he does not look happy to see them. Could they be members of the Elven Pantheon, the Evan-Urus? Only time will tell. I've already seen this gameplay footage assuage some doubts fans had after the cinematic trailer, and hopefully this game will deliver the rich RPG experience we all expect from Dragon Age. We'll see if that happens this fall. But till then, I have more build videos on the way, so stay tuned. And if you enjoyed what you saw here today, please like, comment, and subscribe to MinMaxer's Paradise, the place for build guides for your favorite role-playing video games. Thanks for watching, till next time.